It's time for Cats Talk Wednesday. Small town and big city joined forces. Vinny Hardy of Lynch, Kentucky, and Terry Brown of Louisville, Kentucky, team up to give you free-flowing, laid-back sports talk. Focus on Kentucky Wildcats, as well as pertinent information in the NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball.
Here we are this warm summer Wednesday evening. Vinny Hardy here, the mayor, the CEO, the president of all things corn and soybean, and the employees that work underneath him, Terry T.B. Brown. How you doing, man?
Doing great, man. It's August. It's the best, most wonderful time of the year.
Oh, yeah. Because
got that birthday coming on Saturday. Hey, the next 3 days is a run, man. 8-3 is Tom Brady. 8-4 is Barack Obama. 8-5, your boy TB. That's a murderer's row right there. That's 7 Super Bowls, a POTUS, and this dude.
There you go. So August, greatest month of the year. You heard it right here. Just now. Because TV says so.
The only month without a holiday in it, too, by the way.
Not one, huh?
No, because you got New Year's Day and King Day, and then you got Valentine's Day, and then you got St. Patrick's Day or Easter, right? And then April is Easter, April Fool's Day, if you want to go that route. May has Mother's Day and Memorial Day. June's got Father's Day and Flag Day. Got the 4th of July. September is Labor Day. October is Halloween. November, Thanksgiving. And December, you got the Christmas and all the other holidays at the end of the year. So there's nothing in August. You ever look at a calendar of August? Nothing. No holidays, nothing.
Blank slate.
So I got to make my own holiday. I told him it's a good thing my birthday is on the weekend. I don't work on my birthday. I'm not one of these people. I don't have a birthday month. That's a little extreme, but for my birthday, no, not working.
So you're gonna have a float. You're gonna float on Monday, and are you just gonna catch them next year when it's on? Or
I'm gonna catch him because I'm saving up my time because I'm going back to Louisville here in a couple of weeks to visit and do all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's August, man. Back to school. That's not really a thing. Every day people remind me I'm getting old. Because my man Quentin Ferris, do you follow Quentin on the?
I know him.
Okay, but he's great. He's actually working at UK now as something in student relations. I can't even remember what he. Anyway, but he's talking about something about the library. And he's like, getting back to Willie T. I'm like, when did y'all start calling it Willie T? He's like, what did y'all call it? I was like, we didn't call it nothing. It wasn't built to my junior year. We talking about. Like, we just called it the library. It wasn't there. I wasn't there long enough to give it a nickname. It was just a new library. And he's like, what? I'm like, yes. I'm like, hey, I still got a campus map that said proposed library site.
It wasn't part of the dichotomy of the campus at that time.
Yeah,
it hadn't earned, it didn't have enough cred to be on y'all's radar like that back then.
I think there's like restaurants and stuff in it now. They didn't have no it's for books. Look at me getting old, but man, no, things are going great. Things are going real good, man.
Good stuff, man. Like you said, it's summertime. Ain't a whole lot going on. Women's World Cup. We talked about that a little bit last week. Trinity Rodman, and they struggling and scuffling a little bit, and they're playing at 2:00 in the morning. Well, you'll probably still be up after turning 46. You just roll right on into the World Cup match against Sweden, right?
Well, the thing is, the U.S. hasn't looked great. I mean, I'm no soccer aficionado, but it's the problem with winning 3 straight anything. People leave, new people come up. It's not the same. Other teams get better.
That's it. Target on your back.
3-peats are hard, especially when you spread it out.
Mm-hmm.
3 championships over a 12-year span. That's a lot, right? And they've had a lot of turnover, and it's not quite the same. And again, I'm no soccer expert, but I think this was to be expected.
It's the gap. Everybody trying to close the gap and get to where they are, and the targets on your back, and people come and go, and the people that are there are older, and all that.
And plus, what we asked the women's soccer team to do is they've had to battle for equal pay. They've been at the forefront of getting girls and women involved in sports. Like, it's not, they just don't get to go out there and play. It's like every other team just gets to play, but there's this burden of, you got to win, you got to look good winning, and you've got to do all these other things off the field as well. So it's just a lot to ask. So they're at the knockout stage. They kind of backdoored in a little bit, but we'll see if they can get it turned around. They've got the talent, but let's just see if they can put it together.
And the big news as far as Kentucky's concerned, this Cal called in a little backup. We still got some bigs with some injuries, and we got, not Zildrunas, not Zion, but Zvonimir Ivisic.
I've seen his name. I've seen the phonetic pronunciation. I need to hear it before I get involved in that. Like I tell folks, if it's a little bit, if it's more than Terry Brown, like if anything more than a syllable throws me off. So don't take it personally. I'm learning and going and everything, but anything more than that, I'm a little slow on. But it's just amazing, right? Me and Jay Hayes go back and forth on the timeline. All the wailing and the gnashing of teeth that we had during May. And look, I'm not saying that there wasn't some cause for concern, right? But yes, I wasn't concerned because there was a mass exodus. There's always a mass exodus, right? Of players leaving. I wasn't too bothered about that. But yes, there was that stretch where it looked like we only had 7 dudes who are going to play. But as you and I said, there ain't no way we're going into the season with 7 players, right?
Yeah.
And so transfers came in, and now we've got the big man from Croatia. So I think you have to give Cal and his staff some credit. They brought bodies in. The style of play we saw in Canada looks to be markedly different. As Tina Cox pointed out, she was there in Canada, watched them play. There's just a difference there. So you have to consider this offseason a win. And I know it's just August and there's a long time between now and March. Yeah, I get that, right? But you can see there's some things that are trending in the right direction. There's a sizzle that's back to Kentucky basketball. My only thing is for folks, why do y'all care what Jeff Goodman says? and others, like people that have gone on the record, just either hinted at or come out and said they don't like Calipari, they don't like Kentucky. Why do y'all care what they say?
Yeah.
And so, I've told you what my wife and I talk about every day is what are Kentucky fans mad about, right? But under that is sometimes there's legitimate stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And I tried to explain to her, I was like, there are sports people that, getting Cal, getting Kentucky, that's their Moby Dick. They are Captain Ahab, and they want to do all this. Now that's changed with NIL and things like that. But when you got folks going through Eric Bledsoe's like auntie and grandma's trash there in Alabama, when you got old Thamel hopping on a plane going to Turkey trying to dig up dirt on Enos, that is above and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
And so, why do you care what they got to say? I was telling some youngsters, I mean, look, ESPN's going to do right by Kentucky because we bring eyeballs, right? But by the same token, you have to understand that way back when, this is a history lesson, college basketball was very northeast, right? You look at all the teams from the 30s and 40s, it was all east, right? CCNY, St. John's, all east, right?
Holy Cross.
Holy Cross was a thing, other teams like that. And then Kentucky shows up. Middle of nowhere, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love my home state. However, therefore, but it's Kentucky. Like, okay. And we're kicking their granddaddy's team's butt, right? Then we start in the 70s, we're now kicking their daddy's team's butts, right? Our generation come on, now we're kicking their butt. Now, you look at when Cal got here, now we're kicking their kids' school's butt. So I was like, y'all got to understand, there's just this built-in thing. People don't like Kentucky. And I'm okay with it. That's part of it, right? That's part of being the big dog is people ain't going to like you.
Oh, yeah. No.
So why curry favor with people that don't like you? Did you see what Jeff Goodman said? No, I didn't. I don't care. Look, and that's the thing. As a Lakers fan, people got to get their jokes off when the Lakers lose.
Yes.
I get it. I've told you, hey, they got swept out of the Western Conference Finals. Okay. I mean, yeah, that's bad, but I'm still good, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's part of it. Like the Cowboys, we can throw all the jokes we want to. The numbers bear out. The Cowboys matter. Unlike just about any other franchise in the NFL, I don't think they have an equal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But part of it is y'all got to deal with some jokey jokes.
Yeah.
Like that's the trade-off, right? So for me, I don't care what Jeff Goodman or Pat Forty or whoever. I don't care.
And the thing, the people, those that get triggered or react to Jeff and Pat and those guys, they shouldn't do it, but I think they just want to see Kentucky, and it's never going to happen. They want Kentucky to be liked the way they like it, or at least be respectful. Even though sometimes you're going to get a hot take. You're going to get Goodman saying this offseason was kind of mad at him. And when you look at what they've done, I mean, we saw it happen in Toronto. We saw the roster going into this year. I mean, most programs would probably take what has transpired going into this season. But if he wants to say, not impressed, he can say that. But the fans did you hear what Jeff said? They want him to, I guess, praise Kentucky or be objective about it. And it's not going to happen. So, there's no need to worry about what they say, because they're gonna try to their glasses. They're gonna be tinted the opposite direction of our glasses, and that's always gonna be the case.
And that's fine.
Yeah,
like I said, that part of being a Kentucky. Look, I've said this before. I'm gonna keep saying it. If there was like a vote, if the media could vote and that had an impact on championships, we wouldn't have any.
Mm-hmm.
But why do I care what those guys have to say? Why do I care what the beat writer for Alabama says about Kentucky basketball? I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the cockiness. You got to carry that. You got to bring that same energy, man. Like that picture I shared with you during the SEC tournament. Those, I don't even know where it's from. That meme with the fancy guys kind of looking down their nose. Oh, there's actual games on Wednesday and Thursday. I had other teams in my mentions. Well, Kentucky, I'm like, this was a down year, and we still not playing on them 2 days. So what's your point? I don't care what the Arkansas beat writers got to say.
Mm-hmm.
Because as you and I have said, this is what happens when it comes to men's basketball, right? The other team goes on a stretch where they are 500 against Kentucky. Like, we 3-3 in the last 6, and then they yap it. And then you go to bigbluehistory.net and you look, 3-3 in the last 6, but it's always like Kentucky, 95 wins, 21 losses. Every SEC team, every one of them is like that. And it's like, if you kind of squint your eyes and you only look from this point to this point, we caught Kentucky. Have you really? I will stop calling the SEC tournament the Kentucky Invitational when the rest of the SEC combines for half of the titles Kentucky has won.
It'd be like us, which there's probably some of us that do it, popping off to Florida because we 2-2 against them in the last 4 years, or 3 out of 5. We can't say that. We can't say it. Sure. Are we happy about these 2 or 3 wins we got? Yes.
Yes.
But we can't just act like we own them in this little box of 4 years. Yeah, we got a winning record against, and that's what teams do to us all the time. We can't.
Auburn went 25 years and won once against Kentucky.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then they pop off their blue blood because they went to one Final Four and they beat us in the tournament. And let them tell it, they taught Fog Allen everything he knew. And,
But go ahead.
Speaking of Auburn, I might have spoke out of turn last week. We talk about football. They do have some man and their little brother in their state. And there is a lot of man. You got the Bo Jackson and there's some man. I got to give him credit, though, for the Jason Campbell year. They went undefeated and couldn't do anything about it because they were on probation. So, that gets forgotten with the Terry Boughton and the Jason Campbell.
Stephen Davis was the running back, right?
Yeah, Auburn was cold then. And that was
who was that? They had that one wide receiver. Oh, yeah, he was really, really good. It'll come to me.
Was it Frank Sanders?
Sanders. It was. Yeah.
So they was Takeo Spikes was there. They was cold in too.
Hey, they came to Commonwealth to beat our brakes off. So I gotta.
So I was like, I don't know. I would take what Auburn has done. They won a title with Cam. Should have won it. They should have beat Jameson them a couple years later. I don't know who the DB was, but he tried to get a pick. And I think if you just make a tackle and keep stuff in front of you, maybe Jameson still drive them down the field and they win. I don't know. But I would take Auburn's man as a Kentucky football fan. So I was just like, and
look, it's all relative though, right? Like, if we could take Auburn's football, I'd take it.
Yeah.
Two otherworldly talents, right?
Yeah.
With Bo and Cam.
Yeah.
And some other good years. Yeah, I'm just talking about for me, Auburn is a lot of meh.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's what I would say to Louisville, right? How many programs would take Louisville's history? Most. Kentucky's just not one of them.
Right.
And that's the biggest issue with like Auburn and Louisville is Auburn football by itself. Maybe I would say top 20 all time. If you're going to do that, I've got Louisville basketball in my top 10. Me personally, I've always been upfront with that. But the problem is, for Louisville, the team at the top, and for Auburn, wherever you want to put Alabama at the top, or they're not too far from it, that you're just in the same space as one of the best ever.
And they probably can't even enjoy what they've done without, Alabama. Louisville fans, I don't think Louisville enjoys where they are because they got 8. We only got 3. 2 or 2.5, what do you want to call it?
And then what happens, right? When Auburn finally gets one with Cam, it's sandwiched in between Alabama's like 5 and 10-year stretch, right?
Yeah.
It's like, Louisville, Final Four 2012, they won in 2013, whatever. I know the banner came down, blah, 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 blah. But then sandwiched between our Final Four runs. So it's like they don't even get that time to shine. And, it is what it is. But, Louisville basketball, I got the top 10. Like I said, when it comes to the Blue Bloods, here's my point. Your Blue Bloods are your Blue Bloods. That doesn't change. Now, can you say this change? This? I think Blue Bloods is a different conversation than most prestigious. I think that's a different conversation.
Mm-hmm.
My Blue Bloods, because we talked about this with Connecticut, right? Connecticut's got a very good resume. I would say they're very prestigious, but they're not. Blue Bloods are Blue Bloods because it's old money, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
For me to be a Blue Blood, what did you do in the 40s, 50s, 60s? To me, that counts.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Kansas was successful. North Carolina was successful. Even Duke, to a certain extent, in the 60s was successful.
Yeah.
And then you got UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my five. Kentucky, North Carolina, Kansas, UCLA, and Duke. That's my top five. Right? Then after that, I would probably put Indiana. I would still put Indiana up there as a Blue Blood. I know it's been a while, but that doesn't change anything. Indiana is still part of that fabric. I would probably put Louisville up there.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, then you start looking at, okay, Villanova, Connecticut, then you start to pull those teams. But I think that 6 or 7, that's who you got. That's just me.
And even though UCLA's is it faded blood? It's still blue. Is it? They banked it so long ago, but you can't take it away. Like John Madden always says, you can't take that away from them. So it's there. That decade of dominance is there, and for the folks that want to kick UCLA out, I just always say what UCLA did was so amazing that all of Kentucky's history, all of North Carolina's history, we have not combined to do what they did. Yeah.
I think it would be a different discussion if, North Carolina was able to close the deal. I think most recently, like 2016, with the Villanova shot. If Kentucky was able to put a little bit more chips, okay, I think that's a different discussion. But all this time later, and we still 3 behind.
Yeah.
I keep them up there. Indiana, I still have them up there. I know it's been a while. They got 5. They got 5.
And Knight was 76, 81, 87. So what was the other two? Were they 40s and 50s?
Yeah. Yeah, I want to say, I don't know off the top of my head, but yeah.
Ooh. All right.
And so and the thing is too, I mean, UConn is checking a lot of boxes, right? They've done it with 3 different coaches, which for me is kind of a prerequisite to,
sustain and
right,
over stretching it out. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but UCLA cannot say.
They got the 2, and so but anyway,
and Cronin had him in the Final Four, and he knocked on the door a couple years ago. So
right,
Mm-hmm.
So that's just my thing when it comes to the who's a Blue Blood and all this kind of stuff. But it goes back to Kentucky fans. Who cares what people say? I remember Digger Phelps all the way through the 2012 tournament with his highlighter, picking a Kentucky upset. People got access to grind, man.
You got your highlighter really matching your cap? Is it really? You really Digger? Is it? Oh, that's red. That's red and pink. I thought you had a highlighter matching your cap. I thought you really was going to go full on Digger Phelps tonight.
Not quite. But that's my thing. But look, I'm excited for basketball season. I think after watching them in Canada, I'm ready for these guys to get out there and play. I'm ready for football to start.
Mm-hmm.
I think this team is going to show some folks something. I know we're going to go through our in-depth football preview, but
we're gonna do that next week.
Yeah, I think 8 or 9 wins is there.
Mm-hmm. Got Corey Price coming on. That'd be a good time to do it since he's in the press box with Tom Leach for every game.
He's doing his thing. So we're ready for the 2023-2024 year to start off, man.
Mm-hmm. Here's the only audio I found at overtime on Twitter. Was tweeting about Big Z coming to Kentucky. I don't know if she pronounced it right or not.
Twice.
Let's see.
A 7'2" center from Europe who's already applied for the NBA draft twice is now committed to Kentucky. Zvonimir has entered and withdrawn from the last 2 NBA.
Zvonimir Avicic.
I thought the Z was silent. I'm not too much on phonetics.
Yeah.
When it comes to my Eastern European countries, but
we'll see what Tom Leach says here in a couple of weeks. If that'd be a good thing to ask him next time we have him on. What, like, if he had his all pronunciation team? Because you got Zvonimir coming, you got Ugo on Yinso already here, which, if Oscar Sheba had stayed, of course, you probably wouldn't have had Ugo. You definitely would have had Z. But if you'd had Sheba on Yinso, Zvonimir on the same, that'd have been a Mountain Rushmore of pronunciation for somebody that makes a living calling the games. But
I'm just glad that's Tom's job and not mine, because like I said, that's out of my purview. But it's been a good off season, right? Every off season you start feeling pretty good. Everyone's going to go 12-0 football. Everybody's going to the Final Four in basketball, but I feel very, very good about where both programs are. The football program, like we were talking to Coach Collins last week, it's not so much rebuilding every year. It's like bringing new dudes in, coach them up, and kind of get that assembly line running. And again, you look at last year, there were 3 games, 4 games really that could have gone either way. Vandy, Ole Miss, off the top of my head, possibly South Carolina. That's 3 wins right there.
Yep.
So I don't think it's crazy to talk 8 or 9 wins.
Yeah, they could definitely do it. Everybody's talking about Alabama. I saw people tweeting out Alabama upset alert. But you get them at home, so that's in our favor. Get Tennessee at home, that's in our favor. Get Tennessee after they play in Tuscaloosa. So they go Tuscaloosa, Lexington back to back. So I like that. Kentucky's got some hard gauntlet type stuff too, but a lot of teams are beat up after playing Alabama. You even if you beat them or lose to them, you struggle the following week just because the way they play and put stuff on you. So I like the fact that Tennessee has to come to us after playing Alabama. So yeah, it'll be fun to go over that with Corey next week and break all that stuff down, because it's the end. I think the 26th or 27th there'll be real live college football games to speak of. Week 0 they want to call it. SEC Network will have a game and all of that. The NFL's going, the Hall of Fame game is this weekend. You've been up there and seen that in person. I think Zach Thomas is the most recent player, the Dolphins linebacker. Had Chuck Howley from the Cowboys, an old school Cowboy, and some other older players. But Zach Thomas is the one, I guess, from our era that's going in this coming weekend.
It's always fun. I was telling the wife I'd love to go back to the Hall of Fame there in Canton, and because it was great to go when I went. I've talked about it before. I had a great time. The only downside is there are a lot of other 49ers fans. So everything I wanted to see, it was tight quarters to want to go see. Mm-hmm. Because as I was telling you, if your team hasn't won a Super Bowl there's just not a lot of stuff there. There's just not a lot of stuff on display. There's a lot of cowboy stuff because whatever. But there's just so much stuff they've got on display that you want to see, but it stinks because you're there with all the same. You want to see the same stuff. Oh, this is the ball when Joe Montana did X, Y, and Z, and when Jerry did X, Y, and Z, and
So like it's well, of course a lot of 49er stuff, a lot of Cowboy stuff, a lot of Steelers stuff, but like individually, like Barry Sanders ain't got a lot of stuff. A good person on a bad team, they're just.
I mean, and there's some notable stuff. There's if I recall correctly, because it's been a while. Ooh,
yeah,
like 13 years. Yeah, 2010. Yeah. Woo. There was a whole section on like passing milestones, different footballs, different from different players reaching different milestones, and for running backs and that kind of stuff as well. So I mean, yeah, there's Barry Sanders that's going to be there,
Dan Marino, something like that.
Yeah, there's that kind of stuff. But as far as team stuff, they've got the team of the different decades, right? They've got here's your Packers of the 60s, even before that, the Browns of the 50s and all that kind of stuff. So the Steelers have their 70s, and your 5-time champion 49ers have their team of the 80s.
Yeah.
I don't know what they got in the 90s. I didn't even see what they got in the 90s.
I'm sure. I've got a pretty good idea of what they got for the 90s.
Just a lot of teal and to the extreme. That's what the 90s was about, And then you get to the Patriots, but
right.
But look, the best thing to do is find an old guy to talk to, right? So I found an old guy that worked there, and he was like, "Look, the place is huge. There's all this stuff." He's like, "Yeah, only about a quarter of the stuff they have is on display at any given time." He's like, "They got way more stuff than this," and that to me would be pretty cool to just let me in the back room. Let me see some of that stuff that's in the back. All right.
So you have to go. First of all, not on induction weekend. You just have to go like on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
In March or something.
Yeah, you got to go some random time, right? That's the time to go.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. I was glad that I went and saw Jerry go in. I knew it was going to be a hot ticket when I was like, oh, And the thing is, with the NFL Hall of Fame, you get what, 5 like modern era players, then 2 older players. I think is how it goes. So you get 7. But think about that. I mean, 5. Modern, and you get 2 to 3 shoe-ins every year, so it's a tough ticket.
Yeah,
right. Like you look at like when Jerry and Emmett went in. Okay, those 2 are eligible. They're going in first ballot.
Yes.
So who are the other people going to be? And there's John Randall, and
that's a good one himself. I mean, he's not on Emmett and Jerry's level, but
that was and
that's a good third option.
Was it Ricky Jackson? I'm gonna have to look up.
Oh wow,
somebody for the Saints. I can't remember now. And Dick LeBeau, the famed defensive coordinator, went in as a player for his time with the Lions. But I was like, oh, this is Emmett and Jerry, so it's going to be jam packed, and it was. A lot of Cowboys fans.
This year we got Rondé Barber. Don Coryell, Eric Coryell, offense coach for the Cardinals and Chargers. Chuck Halley for the Bears, and then most of his career with the Cowboys. Won a Super Bowl in the early 70s. Joe Klecko, defensive end for the Jets and the Colts, 77 to 88. Oh, Revis Island. So you got Rondé and Revis going in. I mistakenly said Zach Thomas was the only guy from my era. We got Rondé Barber, Zach Thomas, Darrelle Revis, Ken Ken Riley for the Bengals, 1969 to 1983 cornerback. Oh, another one. Joe Thomas. He played for, bless his heart, played for the Browns all those years. Offensive tackle. Like never allowed a sack, but nobody ever saw him do anything. I mean, talk about toiling away and not.
it toiled away in obscurity for the folks in Cleveland. But look,
Zach Thomas. Oh my God, my fault. You're right about the shoe ins. DeMarcus Ware. What am I thinking? Cowboy heavy again. DeMarcus Ware and Chuck Howley and Zach Thomas and Joe Thomas and Revis Island and Ronnie Barr. That's a pretty strong class. That's pretty strong
right.
class.
And my thing is, I always think about the father and son we sat next to that were from somewhere close by, and they would just come every year. That was like their thing, was to come over for the Hall of Fame ceremonies. I always thought that was pretty cool. And it's like, hey, when Cowboys go in, when Steelers go in. Those two fan bases show up, and Packers to a lesser extent. But he's like, nothing like Cowboys and the Steelers, man.
No. Thing about the Packers, that their like Ring of Fame was even kind of exclusive. There was as many guys even on that as you would have thought. I mean, they were kind of, I was like, oh, he's not on there. Oh. And so I think it's only like 6 people on there.
Yeah.
Like Bart Starr, Brett Favre, Reggie White, and Paul Hornung or something. It's not many, as you would think. Through the Ray Nitschke, he's up there. But
yeah,
they real kind of picky, even with the Packers Ring of Honor. I'm like, okay,
right.
Yeah.
When you get one of those franchises, it's even more to be recognized by the team. Well, I shouldn't say that, but it's a different challenge to be recognized by the team versus even being in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think James Lofton is up there. He played for the Packers before we knew him with the Bills. I mean, when we were born, he played for the Packers, and I was like, oh. And then he was doing his thing with Jim Kelly and Andre Reed and all them, and I didn't like that Packers chapter was
he put up some numbers there in Green Bay.
Sure did. He was balling.
Maybe one day they'll put Aaron in there.
Speaking of that, I was the whole Sean Payton came out and said that basically the previous administration was terrible. It was Hackett was terrible. Everybody here before me was terrible. That's why I'm here. Everybody was here was so terrible. They had to clean house. That's why I'm here. Hackett was a bum, which they say he's a good offensive coordinator and maybe not a good coach, whatever. Your boy Aaron Rodgers, who is with him now with the Jets, and I guess they were together in Green Bay for a time, but your boy Aaron told Sean to keep my coach's name out your mouth. And they play each other week 5, some point in the season they play each other. Sean Payton starts backtracking on his comments. Like, you clearly thought this. You just happened to say it. You probably was saying it before you even got interviewed for the job. And now everybody knows what you're thinking. And
right. Say it with your chest, man. Like,
yes.
you just say it was a dumpster fire. I'm here to put out the dumpster fire and keep it moving. Look, man, it's not going to be great in New York.
They want us to believe it's going to be great. They want us to believe that the Jets are a quarterback away. That's what they want to believe.
They may very well be, but is Aaron a good quarterback?
What is he, 38, 39 now?
And you know about those wins. They still, I know it's not the Meadowlands, right? But the wins up there in New York, that's always the way. Is you've got to do something. We have not seen a fun and gun offense wheeling and dealing like that, dependent on the quarterback.
Yeah.
Because when it starts to get cold in the playoffs, passing games don't work as well. That's why we've seen Patrick Mahomes do his thing, dinking and dunking, right? Like that's what you have to do. You look at regular season Peyton Manning, postseason Peyton Manning. The windows get tighter. You're not always going to get them calls, right? Like it's just different.
Not always going to be in that dome.
Right. And when you got to play in the elements, that's rough, man. And, I was it Chris Broussard? I don't know. I just catch clips online. I was talking about, you don't want to fire up Aaron Rodgers.
He was fired up every time he played, Joe.
And I was like, I wanted to be like, as a San Francisco 49er fan in the playoffs, we wanted Aaron Rodgers. Because when he left Green Bay, San Francisco was like, we was trying to make it over 5.
That's right. Exactly. So they play each other, and maybe it'd be two. I mean, probably not even relevant teams, but this game will get a lot of spice because of these quotes.
And that's the thing too, is neither one of these teams are going to be good. Is Denver going to be good? No,
I don't see it.
Do we think Russell Wilson is going to get miraculously better?
Did he just get hackified by Hackett? Is he going? And the stories of him being like, he just had a whole office by himself and just did whatever he wanted to. Our guy, Aaron Finchers for the Athletic, was out there in Seattle and Portland, and he even would kind of chime in that, Russell, even when he was in Seattle, that Russ is kind of, separate or get special treatment. The whole little notion, you just keep hearing more and more of that, and,
But I don't hold that against Russell Wilson because every quarterback's like that.
Right. But why do we hear that about him more?
But because nobody likes Russell Wilson. I think it's not because he's corny, because there's a lot of corny dudes that people will rock with. But I think, and this is just me, 3,000 miles away or whatever, it feels like his corniness is calculated. It feels like he feels very disingenuous because
he's real hokey and cheesy.
Yeah, and there's a off-putting to it because nobody rocks with him.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you're an NFL quarterback, you've won a Super Bowl, been to another one.
Should have had to, yeah.
Then people tend to rock with you. It's like when you win the Academy Award, right? You win the Oscar as an actor. It doesn't matter what else you do. You are always going to be Academy Award winner, blah, 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 blah. After Cuba Gooding Jr. won for Jerry Maguire, like for the next decade, he was in hot trash. But they had to say, he's Academy Award winning Cuba Gooding Jr. Like, oh, that's right. That's usually how we do guys that win Super Bowls. But Russ never got that. His defense talked about him when he was in Seattle.
Yeah.
And more telling, his offensive players never piped up.
Because through the week, you're on the team, but through the week, y'all got to see each other through the week. Even though you're on the same team on Sunday, it's offense versus defense all the way up till game day. And you're right. It's like when Trae Young falls down and nobody helps him up. It was that kind of thing,
Right. They don't rock with that dude.
Get up, man.
Yeah. And that's what I was telling you about Jimmy G in San Francisco. They liked him.
Yeah.
Because you've never heard not one player be like, man, he threw the ball with his damn eyes closed Super Bowl. Not one player was like, like they rocked with him. And that's the complete opposite of Russell Wilson. Is everybody's taking shots like, he's got an office by himself.
Yep.
You want me to believe that Peyton Manning didn't have his own space at the Hoosier Dome, RCA Dome, whatever they call it?
Barry
Lucas
Bonds,
Oilfield.
Barry Bonds had his own clubhouse in the clubhouse. You know,
Right.
He had
Like that. Like, but that's to me. I don't care.
Yeah.
That's part of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the argument with the NIL money is this is going to create friction in the locker room because people making money. What a workplace do you not have people that make more money? Like that's part of it.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna happen when they go pro anyway. I mean,
or
be so scared if it happens in college
or get any kind of job. Everybody don't make the same money wherever.
Mm-hmm.
You could work at McDonald's and be like, why is this person making $2 more an hour? Well, they can do fries and hot cakes or whatever it is. Like
that's when the big bucks start rolling.
That's right. But people like, when what are you going to do? The quarterback is going to get all the accolades, and it doesn't matter what else we do.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just how it is. Whatever the team does, the quarterback's going to get it. People still talk about, Peyton Manning got 2 Super Bowls. I'm old enough to have watched the second Super Bowl he won. They won in spite of Peyton Manning, okay? But we still get to say he got 2, right?
That was Von Miller that won that one.
That's right. That's right. It's not just Trent Dilfer and the Brad Johnsons, your favorites. Right, some of your favorites have won Super Bowls that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to Russell Wilson, like I said, I'm not too. I just think Father Time's caught up with him. He's not a big guy. He takes a lot of sacks.
Yeah.
And I don't know who the receiving core is in Denver, but
the Tim Patrick dude just got hurt again. That was. He was decent. Got hurt last year, came back, and he's kind of Klay Thompson thing. Gonna miss 2 years, like knee, Achilles, or whatever. 2 lower body injuries back to back, so he just lost him. Deshaun is part of it. Sean Payton also thinking that Father Time is. I gotta rock with this dude who's way up into the back 9, and he was terrible last year under Hackett. Just every coach has an ego. Does Payton think he can fix Russ, or maybe at least have him do better than Hackett? Or does Payton already know Russ is done and I'm stuck? Does Payton already know that?
Yeah, Russ is cooked, man.
Yeah, washed.
Like we're not going to see this rebound because again, he's physically not big, and his mobility is not there. And he takes a lot of sacks. He holds the ball a long time, which pays off a little bit. He's got to move to see.
Yeah. like Kyler Murray.
Yeah. that tweet that said Kyler Murray looks like a little kid that took his parents' iPad. Run around. And look, you don't have to be, 6'4", 6'5". We've seen these guys with success, but you can't sustain it.
Mm-hmm.
The same way with Cam Newton, who's physically, I don't know if we've had a quarterback in the league physically as imposing as Cam Newton. I can't think of any. But, it's like with running backs who, breaks my heart to see running backs, kind of being tossed aside. That stuff, it accumulates. It adds up.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That is true. We'll all see it all play out here in a few weeks. Man, just flipping to music. If you were performing and I threw my drink at you, are you throwing the mic? Are you coming off stage? You go, Cardi B got that beer thrown on her. How's Terry C. Brown handling?
What's wrong with people, man? It's just across the board, people throwing things at, I don't know, some of these teeny boppers' names. They out of my wheelhouse, but you got to pay all that money to get in.
Mm-hmm.
And then you throwing a drink or throwing stuff at people. This is why we need gangster rap to come back. Cause you ain't nobody throwing nothing to death row. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause you're gonna get stomped out. Like, we need to bring that back. We need to bring back the singers and stuff that got something in their shoe. Ain't nobody throwing nothing at Aretha because she got a heavy purse. You don't know what's in there. Ain't nobody, like, what are we doing with this? Stomp these people out.
Yeah, I don't. At least she got to hire somebody to hit stop on the iPad if she gonna throw something. Somebody got to be like stop the track when there's a disturbance. Because
I'm letting security have at it. That's what I say.
They kind of did.
With these people that run on the field and stuff. That stuff's cute.
Yeah.
Hey, give them the business, man.
Mm-hmm.
Give them the business. You wanna play games? Hey, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You know what I'm saying?
It's just it's the audience. Sometimes it's the artists, because then you got with the country lady Miranda Lambert go fuss at people because they took a selfie at her show, which is another, like you said, again, pay all that money to get in, and they ain't throwing a drink on her. But she gonna get mad for them taking the selfie. John Cougar Mellencamp cussing people out. What's wrong with everybody?
Here, one, I don't like live music because it's too crowded. The music I like routinely does not sound good in concerts. Rap does not sound good in a concert format because I don't need 40 of your partners saying, I came here to see you. And then rap itself, just in a live environment, unless you got the roots with you, just doesn't work for me. That's why I like the Tiny Desk concert and Jay-Z's Unplugged and things like that. Plus, there's a lot of foolishness that's going on in the 90s at rap concerts. Let me be clear, right? But, that's never been my get down. But I don't understand what people have against folks taking pictures. I understand there's that excessive nature. I take pictures because I like to look back, pictures of my girls, pictures of my parents. Like, oh, that was a great event we were at. I don't know. And the people that get on social media, like, had such a great weekend. I didn't even pull my phone out, take a picture. Okay, good for you. I did. Like, okay, good for you. I can do a click and keep it moving. Like, all right. You ain't got to be all like that. So I don't know what it is about concerts is they're just expensive as hell to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's how artists need to make this money. They're not making money off sales and streams like they used to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So part of it is you gotta tour. But if I'm spending as much money as folks are spending on these tickets, I ain't throwing nothing.
Exactly.
Except a bill.
But I'm an R&B guy, so that translates better live. And now, we'll go to some concerts, and when saw Lettuce and Music and Kim, so that translates better than rap. So I'm not going to see rap live either. But like you said, it's people acting up. We went to Charlotte. It was had no dog in the fight. It was Falcons Panthers. Just went over there just to go. This was way back. This was Mike Vick was still with the Falcons. Jake Delhomme was still with the Panthers. And so we're just there, just there watching the game. You like Charlotte, has a fun weekend. And two dudes from Atlanta sitting right in front of us. First quarter, Falcons go down and score first. These dudes get up and start squawking to the Panthers fans. And full-on brawl right in front of us. And they get hauled out. Security does what security does. I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, man, you drove all the way here from Atlanta, gonna come and watch your team. They score first. You get in a fight. Game is 7 minutes old, and your weekend's done. I was like, what did you get? What did you get out of that, man?
Because people don't know how to act. I mean, that's universal. People just don't know how to act.
Just
and they think just because it's a big venue, look, they can get you out of there.
yeah, just don't make sense, man. It don't make sense. Speaking of venue, just announced Kentucky and Louisville, December 21st at the Yum Center. This coming season it'll be on Thursday. I wish it was on Saturday like it normally is, but it's Thursday, December 21st. Cats and Cards at the Yum Center. Yeah, according to John Rothstein.
Oh, okay.
I prefer the Saturday weekend deal, but it's gonna be Thursday, December 21st.
Okay, excellent. I will. I'll definitely watch. I'm gonna watch it. I'm all about it. As long as I'm gonna take special glee in beating Louisville in football, men's and women's. This year is something special. All of a sudden, the football team, they got them projected to be 10 wins. I'm like, what the hell? They're gonna be favored in every game. Why?
I don't understand that.
So I understand because the ACC is poo-poo, right?
Yes. Yeah.
The ACC is poo-poo, and they don't play like the top 3 teams
right.
in the ACC.
Uh-huh.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Okay, you don't get Clemson, you don't get Florida State. Fine. Okay.
But you gotta show me why they favored against us. Like they may win, but why are they favored?
Yeah.
What have we seen that they should be favored? That's all I'm saying. So I want to beat them then. And, of course, men's basketball beat them. Love to beat them in women's basketball, too, and everything else. But this year going to be extra sweet. I don't see it with their football team. And, look, let's talk about the ACC. Florida State showing they ass. They want to get out of the ACC. But they doing it the crazy way. Like, what are you doing? You don't act crazy before you leave. You act crazy after you leave.
Yes.
All I got to tell Florida State is when all the other conferences start expanding and doing stuff, you got to make moves in silence. Like, I just remember scrolling Twitter one day. Oh, USC and UCLA going to Big Ten. Damn, I didn't see that coming, right? Oh, Texas, Oklahoma. That was like a random Tuesday or Wednesday. Like, oh, word? Like, did you see that? Ain't nobody. What are you doing? And look, yes, I follow some Florida State folks. Look, Florida State football is a brand. I'll give you that. However, what are you giving another conference? What's the benefit, really, to bring in Florida State into the SEC?
I mean, you already got Florida. If it was going to happen, it should have happened back when Bobby Bowden was there, way back when they kicked it around years ago. And it's like the ship kind of sailed on it to me now. Unless you're just trying to have this arms race with the Big Ten to do the super conference thing, whatever.
The thing I like is you look at the SEC, you look at the Big Ten, and Sankey and the SEC, whoever's running the Big Ten, they don't say nothing. Mm-hmm. They ain't talk about we got to make these moves. Like they just like this is what's happening.
Yo.
That's my whole thing is there's a difference to it. We the SEC, one, ain't nobody poaching us. Mm-hmm. Two, if we come knocking, there's a short list of schools that would turn the SEC down.
Yeah.
If we started knocking on people's doors at the SEC, they coming. Whatever they got to do, they coming. That's the best part of being where people want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right today, SEC could be like, Florida State, come on. And they would text their resignation to ACC headquarters. North Carolina, too.
And honestly, both of them fit, the the culture, the vibe of the SEC. Way more than Missouri. Florida State does fit, even though, am I excited? Whatever. They belong more in Missouri. It don't matter what I think. If they want to get them, and if I think it should have happened, or if I'm kind of over it happening. Mizzou, they don't fit us. They ain't us. Florida State is us. Tallahassee, Florida. That's right beside Alabama. You take 2 steps, you're in Alabama from Tallahassee. So they fit the vibe, the culture. Football is important down there. Would those body-bound teams have done what they done against SEC schedules? I don't know, but they fit us. So if they bring them on in, bring Coach Ham. He can come to Rupp Arena. We can clap for Coach Ham and put a video up of him with Joe B. Hall. And if they want to bring him in, bring him on in.
This is what I say about, does a team have an SEC profile? What kind of racism do they got? Do they got good old grind up racism? I don't think Missouri's racism is as deep. That's why they're not a good SEC team. I need somebody with ties to the Confederacy. I need some people where we had to do a lot of marching. That's when that's SEC country.
I mean, you're right. You're right by Alabama. Like I said,
that's what I'm saying.
They in the panhandle. You might as well be in Alabama.
And the way Florida acted now, come on now. Slavery was good. That shouldn't even be a political statement. That's a dumbass statement on his face. Slavery was good. Was it really? Was it? Anyway, that's the only problem I have against Missouri is I don't know if y'all got enough good old-fashioned racism. Like, I know you got some, but is it that in your bones Magnolia kind of racism? Because Texas got it. They fit.
Dabo and Clemson, Clemson can come on over too,
South Carolina?
Dabo and Clemson can come right on.
South Carolina said, look, we were the first state to leave the union. That's how committed they have been to the cause. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, Georgia Tech, wishing they never left. That was a charter member.
we know Georgia got some good like that. Hey, that's how I know, does a team have a good SEC profile? Where you at? We watch them black and white videos. Woo! Like Arkansas. Oh, that's an old picture of Jerry Jones. Oh yeah, y'all good. Y'all good.
Yeah.
And my beloved home state trying to join the Confederacy since 1892.
Yep.
Anyway, not to get all political, but that's how I know. Does a team for the SEC? Let me ask the questions. Florida State? I think so. Clemson? Come on. North Carolina? You bet.
Well, Virginia Tech.
Virginia? That's right. Capital of Confederacy. Come on. That's how I rate.
That's it, man. And are we even gonna have a Pac-12 though? Because Colorado said peace. I don't know.
If I was a fan of a Pac-10 school, I would go fight that Larry Scott, the old commissioner. The Pac-10 was a premier brand.
Yeah.
And they absolutely fumbled the bag. Like, how do you not when it comes to how do you not set up a media deal with the 2 big LA schools? How do you not do that?
How do you negotiate with Apple TV for your TV rights? And how you looking at everybody in the boardroom with a straight face, like, oh, guys, we've been talking with Apple TV. Pac-12 After Dark can stream on there this coming season, and how you even malpractice, bro?
I don't understand, because SEC, we're going to get that game of the week, right?
Mm-hmm.
On CBS. And Fox has leaned into, y'all going to get the Big Ten game. Y'all going to get this Iowa, Nebraska, because there ain't no other matchup going on right now, right? You're going to get this. But you got the two LA schools, and you can't get no media rights.
In Hollywood.
And second
biggest market in the country.
And I look, I get it because you've got Oregon versus Arizona State. You got a lot of those games. SEC's got Kentucky Vandy. That ain't moving the needle outside of Lexington. It ain't moving the needle in Nashville.
Right.
But that's part of it. But you have to leverage your big time matchups. I mean, think about it, right? SEC football, what do you have? Maybe 10 or 11 games out of the dozens that really, really mean something, right? You get, okay, it's Auburn, Alabama, Alabama, LSU, Florida, Georgia, you know, maybe Texas A&M, Alabama. Like, you don't even have that many really good games that you're going to get anyway. So, hey, Pac-10, 12, they fumbled the bag.
Unbelievable. So, like, you know, they might not make it through the week. they own oxygen, pacemaker, defibrillators. They got the whole everything in the hospital. ICU is where they are right now, man. It's a struggle.
When Colorado says we out, and Colorado hasn't, you know the last good Colorado highlight, I was just thinking about this with Dion and him, was Cordell Stewart and your boy at the big house in 94.
Michael Westbrook.
What have they done since then?
Was Rashawn Salam before that? He was before that, wasn't he?
I think so, or right around that time. Yeah. And, I forget. Yeah.
And Eric Bieniemy was definitely before that.
Yeah. Eric Bieniemy and Darren Hagan. Yeah. Those. That 91 season was on drugs, where Colorado, you know, they got the fifth down, and Georgia Tech split a national title. If you do one of them things like these schools have won a national championship, you are not going to get Colorado and Georgia Tech. Like what?
We were 14 and actually watched it happen.
Yeah. But when Colorado's like, we out.
And are they trying to go to the Big 12?
Big 12.
Which was on life support before. They was, you know, it was a race to see who was going to die first between the Big 12 and the Pac-12. And they feel compelled and confident enough to jump from the Pac-12 to the Big 12. The Big 12 looks good enough to them to join, which
again, I don't know how you fumble the bag with USC and UCLA. I don't get it. But the thing is about the Pac-12 is how many teams make sense in that part of the country?
Like Arizona.
I mean, they clucked everybody from the West. Utah, like you're just limited on how many named teams that you can get.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get a named team to have to go out west.
Yeah. As far as replacing Colorado with?
Yeah. You're not going to get Yeah. I mean, with USC, you're not going to get an equivalent for USC and UCLA. The part of the problem is LA is too much of a transplant city.
Yeah.
It's why I was trying to explain, I was explaining to you, why do the Dodgers and the Lakers matter more than anything else is they were the first things out there. So you've got 3, maybe 4 generations of folks with ties to the Dodgers, with ties to the Lakers, right? As good as UCLA has been, they don't care out there.
Yeah.
They can't sell out Pauley Pavilion back when Ben Howland had them 3 straight Final Fours. They just don't care. And if you are a professional team, you can have that apathy of Lakers fans not showing up to Staples until almost the second quarter. Dodgers fans not showing up until the third inning, right? That's not what college sports is about. That's the complete opposite. It's the tailgating for football. It's that feverish thing. And LA, there's just too much going on.
Poly Pavilion's capacity is 13,800.
And they don't sell it out.
13.8 is the capacity on that thing since 2012.
And they just renovated it because I remember when they were renovating it and they had the Bruins playing at the LA Sports Arena, the old Clippers place, which is like apparently like way on the other side of LA. Like there's just too much going on. And LA is just not a college sports town.
Yeah.
That's the issue too, is when you start looking at, your big universities, they the only show in town.
Yep.
I figured that out when I was in Lexington, just watching like the news. There's always something about Kentucky.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about sports. I'm just talking about this is what this professor's doing, or there's always something related to UK on the news. But in UCLA, or in LA, nobody cares.
Yeah.
College towns need to be Lexington and Lawrence and Ann Arbor, and even Columbus. I think that's a little too big. That's what you need. What you need. It's just not a big city thing. I mean, you look at Chicago. DePaul had their run, but you look at New York. You look at New York City. Look at their college teams.
Yeah.
St. John's. Hey, Felipe Lopez been a long time since St. John's. That's been a while.
Northwestern, nobody cares about. I mean, everything they got going on, and it's not on the front of the Chicago Tribune.
That's right. You look at Atlanta. I mean, college sports in big cities just don't work. You need that kind of small city kind of relationship. But Tuscaloosa, you need places that sound made up until like Tuscaloosa.
Tuscaloosa, Athens.
Yeah.
Like Lexington, Knoxville, Nashville, Baton Rouge are the bigger towns. I mean, Starkville ain't nothing in Starkville.
Ain't nothing in Starkville. It is.
Like the Starkville, Auburn, Oxford, places where the stadium like quadruples the population of the city on game day. That's the stuff.
Fayetteville.
Yeah. Up there tucked in the corner of Arkansas. It ain't even Little Rock. It's Fayetteville. Yeah. Little Rock ain't even that big.
Iowa City.
Yeah.
I mean, and Ames, or as we call it, Lames.
Speaking of, man, they got some Pete Rosen going on in Lames, don't they? Got old boy betting on himself, or what happened to the quarterback? They got some little stuff.
You didn't see what dropped today?
There's some Pete Rose stuff going on up there.
Tyler Eulis' little brother. Woo, buddy. Hey, don't gamble, but you can't be surprised because every time you watch something with sports, it's about gambling and a gamble. You just can't be surprised. Like I know you can't do it, and it's going to only get worse.
Yeah, it's just getting started.
I mean, you got vulnerable people playing, and if you don't even have to throw the game, just the point spread, just a little bit.
Speaking of Tyler Eulis, though, the audio and video of him coaching, dropping point guard knowledge in Toronto was cool.
I love Tyler Eulis.
Yeah,
he's one of my all-time favorites. Just, Cal let him run the offense.
Yep.
And he's waving off what Cal's talking about, and that to me is fantastic. I wish we could have got one more year, but he had a good run.
Yeah, for sure. But man, we hit all the stuff that's going on, man. We got our do our little game by game next week with Corey Price. Get his little thoughts on the win totals. Another year of legit excitement, optimism, and
Yeah.
confidence that there's going to be a solid season. That's still a good place to be. There's so many years where it was just everybody. Kentucky was a W automatic, and now we're not that anymore. So, people talking about Alabama need to watch out coming in November because they could be on upset alert. So that's what. So that's still
And
have that respect.
before we forget, we got to talk about Paul Rubens passing away.
Oh yeah,
and Pee Wee Herman. And as I always say, when someone famous dies, I remember talking to my dad. I can't remember who it was, but he's like, you don't know the person, right? It's not like losing a family member. But how awesome is it that you can create something to impact people all over the world? And for my money, we've had great actors, we've had great comedians, but Paul Rubens and the whole Pee Wee Herman thing was so unique that you almost couldn't make it up. When you realize that the Pee Wee Herman show started as like an adult heavy, like, I don't know if you've ever seen like on HBO, the Pee Wee Herman show, its original iteration was very, very adult. Like it was like, oh, okay, make sure your kids don't watch this. But then to retool it as a children's show and win all these awards, like, how do you do that with the same character? Like, how do you do that?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Pee Wee's Big Adventure, one of those kids' movies of our youth that just, stand out. And I like Paul Rubens and just about everything he did, and he was showing up in different movies. But Pee Wee Herman is just such a lasting legacy. And I don't know if you saw this. We have Pee Wee Herman to thank for Boys in the Hood.
No, I did not see that.
So I need to find the clip. I'll show it to you. I'll try to tag you if I can find it. But long story short, Lawrence Fishburne was on Pee Wee's Playhouse.
Yeah, with the Cowboy
Carl or whatever.
It was crazy, yeah.
Well, there was a young production assistant by the name of John Singleton on the show.
Mm.
And so as Lawrence Fishburne is talking about it, John Singleton's this PA. His job was to stand by the door to make sure people that came in were supposed to be there, like lower the low. So he's at USC Film School and he's talking to Lawrence Fishburne, his idea for a movie. They share a cup of coffee. And Singleton says, I'm going to write this movie. I want you to be in it. And the movie turns out to be Boys in the Hood.
Mm.
And yeah, so it's one. I was like, okay, Pee Wee, like Pee Wee Herman, crisscrossing with Boys in the Hood. But sad day. Paul Rubens passing away, and just we talked to. Did we talk about Sinead O'Connor?
No, which that one was a big shock too. Man.
All I have to say about Sinead O'Connor when it comes to what kind of talent she was, she took a Prince song and made it hers. I'm going to say that again for folks. She took a Prince song and we thought he did the cover. And, her career was never the same after tearing up the picture of the Pope, which she was right about what was going on in the calendar. She was right. But just a phenomenal talent. And I didn't realize that her son had passed away a short time before hers. And what I always tell folks when I see situations like that, because I think Lisa Marie Presley was the same.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen sadness like when parents have to bury their children.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that up close, right? I've told people,
mm-hmm.
my parents were never the same.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a profound sadness. So rest in peace to Sinead O'Connor and to Paul Rubens. Again, leaving your mark. There's nothing wrong with celebrating that, and the thing about Paul Rubens and Pee Wee, he was just such a universal, right? We see people pass. If you're a sports person, you know who that is, or if you're a big but everybody knew Pee Wee.
Yeah, so it is.
And that's something to be said for that.
The word of the day, that chair recliner would be hugging you, and just whenever you say it, the whole house, the joy of the whole house. That's just you as a kid, that just sticks with you, man.
I know you
every Saturday. Yeah, that was uttered on every school room, every hallway, every classroom during that time, man. I mean, it was. I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say, bounce off me, sticks to you. I know you are.
Yeah.
What am I? That was, those were the buzzword catchphrases for, 3rd through 5th grade, whatever, elementary school. For us, that was right in the heart, man. I didn't watch it every.
That was our wheelhouse right there, man. Yeah.
I ain't watch it every single Saturday, but I watched it and would catch it, and that whole get down and everything he was, creating on Saturdays. Absolutely. Man, for sure. We had a fun show, man. Like always. Appreciate BS3 Network for letting us be on here, be part of the umbrella. Congrats to Ivan Dawkins and them. They just did 100 episodes of Queen 3 and King. So congratulations to them. And they got their award show coming up in a couple of weeks, the 20th, I think, or 27th. It's a Sunday. We got an award a couple years ago, so it's fun. I think they're doing it in person. They're down there in Texas, so they're gonna do it in person and stream it. But we're just glad they let us be part of the network.
That's right. I never let a statue tell me how nice I am. There you go, Fife Dog. We're gonna go on awards.
Absolutely. But yeah, I'll get back in to play some little promo for other shows. But it's go to bs3tvlive.com and BS3 Network and check us out. We on Roku, we on YouTube. You can listen to us, or you can watch wherever your options are. We'll put this out on the Twitter and social media. Then we'll put out the YouTube. You can watch us and our guests, Corey Price next week, and probably Harlan County track coach Ryan Vitito. Have a couple guys on next week. Sometimes just you and me. Sometimes we got guests. Y'all know how we do. But we enjoy it. TB, we're getting closer and closer to the fall sports that we're excited about, man. And we'll go from not having a whole lot to talk about to having way too much to talk about and stuff, we didn't even get it in. Oh, forgot to mention this last week. Oh, this is another thing we didn't talk about.
and go Cubs go for putting up 20 runs on the Reds last night.
It was a shutout.
When you give up 21 runs, unless you score 21, it ain't good.
That's right. And so, I feel the same way about the Reds as you do. And you kind of got you part of the Cubs Nation now. So they're trying to make their move in the second half, and that division is up for grabs. I think the Cubs still in the mix. So
get a couple more against Cincinnati. See what happens.
Mm-hmm. And that wild card thing is wide open, so everybody is still scoreboard watching, and unless you're the Pirates, I think you got a shot.
That's right.
When you're the Braves, you up by 11 games. You just cruise control until the to the playoffs start. Let's just keep everybody healthy and get through September. That's what we over here doing. Took 2 out of 3 from Shohei and them. They won the first one, but we had to let them know that we won the series. It was nice to see Shohei in Atlanta, but y'all take these 2 losses in a row and go on about your business. Fly to W, because it's good to see the Reds. I know it's been a long time, but they got so cocky so quick just because they was in first place in the middle of July. And
Slow
so
down, young.
they don't know how. They don't, and love them all. Derek Terry, Jeff Drummond, Oscar Combs, all these people that we interact with because of Kentucky, but they're also Reds fans, and they just got so just like they did you with the Super Bowl when you was in 5th grade or whatever.
I ain't forgot.
That's what they was doing with this little win streak. And L.A. De La Cruz is a bad man. He is a bad man. I'm not going to deny that. He is coming up here stealing home and hitting 500-foot home runs. He is a talented dude. You know, Roy Wood, fellow Cubs fan like you and your lovely wife, was giving props to Ellie because he went first to third in like 3 seconds. he got a triple like that probably only Bo Jackson could have done, and Ellie pulled it off. So I marvel at what he's doing, but I still want the Reds fans to chill. That's all I'm saying.
He has to chill, to quote EPMD.
Oh, that note, we gonna roll out of here, man. But we'll see everybody next week.
That's
Appreciate
right.
the TV. Appreciate
Yes.
everybody that's took the time to watch us or listen to us. Catch us on the YouTube and the Roku. We'll be back next week on Cast Talk Wednesday.